Welcome back to Safe Space Talks, My Mastery, one more time and again. And we are here to talk about procrastination. You know what I love? When I looked at the word procrastination, I saw the word nation. So that means everybody procrastinate in the whole nation, in the
Wow.
whole wide world. You are without excuse. You procrastinate. Now, of course, just like we was talking about stress, there's good stress, bad stress. There's good procrastination and bad procrastination. But when does procrastination show up? For me, it always shows up when I have to do something that is boring to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I really have to shift, play some music, hype myself up. Come on, you could do it. You could do it. Because the song says, sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Call me at Safe Space Talks and we can get that deal going. Okay. So for others, it may just be a task that's difficult, studying for an exam, or maybe you're not clear about the assignment, like at a
Mm-hmm.
job, and it's just frustrating because we have those bosses who don't explain everything correctly. And then when you do it and then you take it back and they're like, no, that's not what I said. And so now you mad. So you procrastinate because you're like, I'm not trying to do that right now. I just don't. It's really rebellion, but you procrastinate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now, although procrastination is not a mental disorder per se, you're not going to go to the therapist and they're going to tell you you
Yeah.
got procrastinated,
Procrastination
procrastinationitis.
disorder.
So we at Safe Space Talks are professionals when it comes to trauma. Okay. So from a trauma perspective, procrastination may occur when certain parts of a traumatic memory uh that hasn't been dealt with. You didn't go to therapy, you're hiding it, you're keeping it to yourself, you're not dealing with it. Now my traumatic experience, right, because I can only talk about me, has caused me to not engage going to the hospital and visit. So don't call me, I'm not coming to see you. So listen, if you're there for a couple of days observation, when you get home I will come see you. Now by the anointing on my life and the Holy Ghost. If you there and someone calls me and they telling me the doctors are like, you ain't gonna make it. Oh no, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'll come. Okay. So what can you do to prevent procrastination? Just do it. Just do it. Right? Remember, hype yourself up, say to yourself, I gotta do it. Find something fun. Find something fun about it. Find the end game of it, right? So say to yourself, okay, I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna do it. And then when I finish doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have me a reward, whatever that
Yes.
reward is. You can go to your friend's house, you can
Mm-hmm.
watch your favorite show, you can have ice cream. Mine's is
Mm-hmm.
ice cream. I like ice cream. Okay.
Me too.
So procrastination really is a stress mechanism. Okay. So, you have something important to do. Even if you have all what you need to do to get it done, yet you procrastinate. Why? We're going to talk about that. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily and voluntarily
Mm.
delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there will be a negative consequence for it. If you don't do it, later on you're going to stress yourself out even more because now you got to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When if you would have just did it when you were supposed to do it, then you will be okay. Okay. So, what causes procrastination? Fear, anxiety, and just feeling overwhelmed about whatever it is you have to do. But, the lack of organization
Mm-hmm.
can cause you to procrastinate. Poor time management can cause you to be someone who procrastinate. And then it's simple just avoidance because you just don't want to be wrong. Like high performers procrastinate because they got to make sure it's right and
Right.
be wrong and oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, I need one more thing, or I need this, or I need that, and so that they can go into a whole spiral.
That's right.
So we're here each week to help you understand how the mind works and how you can master these symptoms. While procrastination is not a mental disorder, as I mentioned, it is attached to anxiety, depression, and numerous
Yeah.
mental disorders. If you go back to our great videos, you will always see how things tie into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, and this is why early signs and monitoring behavior can help you adjust the behavior or seek help before it becomes a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to Safe Space Talks. And we have some wonderful tools for you to make sure you're not one of those procrastinators. So, I'm going to pass the mic to Dr. Latoya.
That was really good, Nigeria. So thank you guys for joining us at Safe Space Talks. We appreciate you tuning in to us. You could be anywhere, but you chose to just connect with us, and we definitely appreciate it. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world, we greet you. Really good introduction to procrastination, because I think that contrary to, popular belief, people think that procrastination is just laziness. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
sometimes if you have a kid that procrastinates more or struggles with initiation of a task, what do we say? Your lazy self,
Right.
get up, and, we really think, publicly that it's just laziness, but it's deeper than that. Like Nigeria was saying, there's different roots to why people procrastinate. Like she said, sometimes it's fear. Sometimes people are just overwhelmed,
Right.
spread too thin, don't know where to begin. Sometimes there are other psychological disorders that
Yes.
it is present in. And so, again, it's not a psychological disorder, but it could be a symptom of
Mhm.
something deeper. And that's what we're really talking about today, is that no, it's not just laziness, right? It's not just something that we just have, but sometimes it could be an indicator that there is something deeper going
That's
on.
right.
And so when you think about procrastination, yes, so we are putting off what we can do right now.
That's right.
Things that we can do right now, we put off, and then we continue to delay. And so what happens when you do that? You begin to feel overwhelmed. You
Yeah.
begin to feel you have a low self-esteem, right? You begin
Yes.
to lose that confidence in yourself and your ability. You begin to feel shameful, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
you feel embarrassed by putting those things off. I've had patients who say, I know I need to check my mail. I know I do. I don't check it. And so now the mail piles up. So now you get a bill. So now you get a disconnection notice, when you could have just picked up the bill. And so people on the outside will just say, why you just open the mail? What do you
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, what are
Right.
you afraid of? What are they going to do?
Right. Right.
So, why don't you just answer the phone and tell them you don't have the money? What are they going to do? Come and take
Right.
it, take your
Right.
house, take your car, but it's much deeper than that. I have people who don't do well with being on the phone. They, for whatever reason, just have that social anxiety, right? That
Right.
fear, the social anxiety. So they avoid speaking on the phone.
Avoidance.
They'll write a letter, they'll email you, they'll message you, but they won't pick up the phone. So they will procrastinate when they
Mhm.
know that there's something that they have to do that requires the phone. So what happens? Why is it that we will put off something that we know we can do right now for later and then don't get to it? So we always talk about the different structures in our brain. We talk about the different areas of our brain. And so we are going to talk about the limbic system. We talked about that before, right? That whole emotional system
Right.
that's responsible for a lot of survival. That's the oldest brain. That part of the brain um, kind of hijacks the other part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex that we talk about sometimes. So that area
Right.
that's responsible for that higher, that executive decision making,
Yeah.
being able to plan, prioritize, initiate, all those things. So that survival brain has an issue with the reward system. And so,
That's
because
good.
it has an issue with the reward system, you focus more on what you're losing out on in that moment. And so, right now, if I get up from this bed and I go and fold those clothes, I'm missing out on this TV show right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to miss it. Right now, the loss of my time is more important, right? Or it's deemed higher in importance than the loss
Mhm.
later on of
Right.
perhaps my spouse coming home and seeing the clothes undone, and now we're in an argument because he thinks
Right.
I'm lazy, and you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Right.
you're looking at the cost of something right now being greater or more amplified than the real true cost of
Right.
something,
Right.
or you can look at a small benefit that you're getting at that time, and that benefit is greater than the
Mhm.
loss that you're going to um, incur later on for not doing the particular task. And so it's really those two areas of the brain, because the prefrontal cortex, it's kind of short-lived,
Right.
it and that reptilian brain, right, is strong. It's always on. It's team no sleep. And
Right.
so because though those areas in that particular part of the brain is struggling with the reward system, you stay in that more than you are in that executive. So the executive brain will tell you, you really need to get up and fold these clothes.
Right.
You really should do it. If you don't, this is going to happen. But that reptilian brain is like, oh, but this bed feels so good. Oh, but Ray about to call, but she for the show,
Right.
and I don't
Right.
want to miss it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know
Right.
what's happening.
Right.
Oh, he about to come home and catch you in action. I don't want to
Right.
move. So you have this tug of war, and
Right.
then that tug of war in that part of the brain is translated into life, and so now you have tug of war with
Mm-mm.
man, this is what I'm dealing with, but this is what I really want to do, and I can't do
Right.
that. So now I feel this way, and so now you're
Right.
spiraling, and then your self-esteem,
Yeah.
takes a hit, and so people, your family will begin to talk about you, call you lazy, call you trifling, all that kind of stuff, and so your life can be a mess. And what it's true. How many arguments I've been in. It's not that I didn't want to do it. It just wasn't that important at the time. I didn't want to stop and come out of, because I will be honest. I have struggled with procrastination. But my reason for struggling with procrastination is definitely not laziness, or mine is I have too much going on.
Okay.
Period. Overwhelmed. Have too
Yeah.
much going on. And when you have too much
Overwhelming.
going on, you're not able to give anything 100% of your time and focus.
That's
And
right.
so distractions, forgetfulness, that's
Yep.
me. But I can only speak to what I'm really and truly dealing with. I don't know
Yeah.
what y'all reason for it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Mine's
that's
is being bored. I can't do it if I'm gonna be bored.
so again, that's the reward system though,
Right.
right? Because if you don't get that dopamine hit, it's not
Mm.
worth it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not worth it for me to do. So therefore, the benefit is not great enough. So like
Right.
you said earlier, whenever someone is sick or whenever someone needs you, then it's activated, right? Because now the benefit of me going to be at their aid outweighs the risk of me being afraid or being anxious about going into the
Right.
hospital. And
Right.
so that's what I have. And then later on, we'll kind of wrap up and just talk about kind of what we can do to kind of help us that struggle with procrastination. I'm passing it to Dr. Sharmy.
Hey, hey everyone. And so I'm just going to take a moment to just touch on the dynamics of um what I'm gonna give us some studies, right? But I'm also going to say what some of the experts say procrastination is, and they defined it as a self-defeating behavior pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's marked by short-term benefits with a long-term cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
And so when you think about that, then you also have to understand that people, and I used to be probably the number one procrastinator. Do you understand me? I probably just whooped everybody. But it, like Latoya said, it had nothing to do with laziness. It was just my self-esteem for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
My self-esteem was so beat down by people in authority that I felt that everybody in authority figure would not accept me, or if I try to do it, I will not succeed because of stuff that had been spoken over me and into my life. And so now I'm dealing with words, right? Which, we will say people speaking word curses over your life. I dealt with that. I mean, I dealt with it at an all-time high. And so for me, I procrastinated because my feelings was I can never accomplish anything. It's nothing like being told when you are a teenager that you will never accomplish anything in life by somebody that's supposed to love you.
Right.
And so for me, I would put everything off, right? Because in the back of my mind, right, and that memory bank, that subconscious mind was like, it's not going to happen for you. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to succeed at it. So why put forth the effort? Why try? And so we have to understand, like there has been a study done, and even the study showed that 20 to 25% of adults worldwide, like that's why I like when Nigeria said procrastination, talking about the nation. Because this is a worldwide study, right? And it was 20 to 25%, which is a large percent of people, right? And that ain't even including our children and our youth and teens and stuff like that. This is just adults. And this study had been done some time ago, so I can only imagine what it's at now. Right. But this study said that those people, 20 to 25%, are chronic procrastinators. Right. And they have, just like they said, we're talking to you about procrastination, not saying that it's a mental illness, but that it's linked. Now, listen to the word linked to some mental health issues. Right. So it's linked to mental health issues. And so I want to talk to people out there that find themselves in a place where they know they procrastinated things, right? They procrastinated doing certain things. What is your reason? You know what I'm saying? So now we have to deal with root issues, because we have to understand, why are you allowing these particular things to master you, right? Why is it been shaped in your psyche that will allow whatever it is to be your master? And where do I get that from? Romans, right? The book of Romans. And so and so I'm just saying, so we can't keep allowing things to master us. And so when you think about procrastination, you have to understand that it is a self-depleting type of thing that wants to overtake you. And so how do you overcome these issues? And we're going to talk about the dynamics of even how to overcome these particular things that overcome you, right? It's going to first start, and I love how Dr. Latoya talked about the whole concept of the limbic system, and she began to talk about the amygdala and different things like that. Now, these are terms that some of you may have never heard before, and many of you have. But even when you have heard something, it does not mean that you have also conquered it. You can hear a lot of things in life and still not know how to master it. Or you can teach things and still not master the things that you teach. Come on, somebody. And so this is why I am self-aware. This is why, like, you have to be self-aware of the things that really come in and are triggers for you, right? I'm telling you, because when you become self-aware, it also helps you to understand that you don't have to procrastinate on certain things, right? You may not want to do certain things because it's going to trigger you. Like for me, being told you will never amount to anything, you will never do anything with your life by somebody that's supposed to be your overseer, somebody that's supposed to love and care for you, that's a hard pill to swallow. And so therefore, I went through life believing just what they said, right? Because why? They were my authority. I respect them. They were the individual that was supposed to groom and guide and lead me into certain things. And so now for me to put one foot in front of the other, it was a challenge for me, not because I wanted it to be a challenge, but because of things that was spoken to me. But guess what? I am so glad about this man called Jesus, right? Because he's able to literally literally transform your entire life, your
Yes, he
mind
is.
to a place where you begin to master the very things that once mastered you. And so when we're talking about this dynamic of procrastination, no, we're not saying that procrastination is a mental illness, but it is linked to mental illnesses. I'm telling
Definitely.
you, your whole mental health will be destroyed just because of procrastination. Because did you know those that procrastinate, those individuals, they won't even go to the doctor and see about themselves.
That part.
Oh, that's it.
That part. Right.
That's it.
Somebody, they can
Right.
be burdened, they cannot, they don't feel good, all
Yep.
these, and they just sit
Ooh.
and wait around
Yep.
and wait
And wait
around.
around.
And
Mhm.
next thing you know, by the time you decide to be pushed to the doctor,
Listen,
it's too late.
Push
it's
to
too
the
late.
doctor. Right.
I'm telling you.
It's too
No,
late.
it's true.
But
That's
see,
true.
this is also called procrastination.
Yeah.
Why don't you go
So
see
true.
about yourself? Why?
That's
Why?
so true.
When your
I'm glad
body,
you said that.
listen, people, when your body start hurting, when something is going on, when you feel an ache, when you feel a pain, something in your body is on high alert saying, hey, something's
right.
not right here. There's something
Mhm.
foreign has entered into your body. So this is why I'm also saying to you that it is related to mental health issues, right? Because
Mhm.
if your physical health is not in order, your mental health is not in order. I don't care what you heard. If
That's so
your
good.
physical health is gonna mess with this thing right here. And so
Mhm.
this is why we have to get out of the mode of, procrastinating, right? We have to be a people that learn how to master. You're gonna constantly hear us talk about
Yeah.
mastery.
Yeah.
Because mastery is an art. Dude,
It
I
is.
mean, for me, because I mastered it,
Mhm.
I can't understand how people don't shut down their minds. I don't understand it. Like for me
Mhm.
personally, because I know it's possible. It's
Mhm.
not normal to just think. Even
Mhm.
God rested on the 7th day, honey. It, it's not normal. But some people, because that's been their way of life, it has become normal to them. They
Right.
don't know how to shut down or shut off their minds. I promise you, that is not normal. It's not normal. Oh, I just think all the time. You are overthinker.
Mhm.
You overthink. And this is why some of y'all procrastinate, because you don't know
That's
when
it.
to move.
That's it.
I mean, you got so many thoughts ruminating over and over and
That's
over in your
good.
mind that you don't even know when to step out on the right thought.
That's right.
Because come on.
No, that's so true.
And when
That's
we're
real.
talking about the dynamics of, even when we're talking about procrastination, you have to understand that it is related to mental health issues.
Yes.
It really
Mhm.
is. And you
Mhm.
have to be an individual that understands how to master the very thing that master you. This is why I'm so glad that experts say that it's a self-depleting. So you're defeating yourself.
Your own self.
So that
Right.
means that if I am an individual that's defeating myself, then I also can learn how to master myself.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, you
Right.
come on.
That's good.
somebody.
That's good.
You
That's
can
good.
learn how to master self.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's going to come, number one, with being intentional. That's my first nugget for you.
That's it.
Intentionality.
Yep.
You have to be intentional.
Intentional.
So
Mhm.
here's my other thing that I coined. Think about what you're thinking about. That's
Mhm.
another strategy. I just
Mhm.
gave you another one. You have to
Mhm.
be an individual that think about what you're thinking about. Do you know how many people don't think about the thoughts that they think? You don't even think about what you
Mhm.
think about. You don't
Yeah.
know what thought to cast down, what thought is not yours, because you're too busy think.
Just thinking everything.
So everything that comes across your mind, you own it.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
No,
Yeah.
not
So you have to be able to differentiate between the thoughts. And many people don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
So when you're talking about helping an individual to overcome even procrastination, you have to be, number one, self-aware. You have to be. Number
Mhm.
two, you have to, really think about the things that you're thinking about. Where did that thought come from? Right?
Mhm.
How did that thought even originate? See, my procrastination originated from words rather, that was spoken over me to me. And so once you said those words to me, they went down deep into the depth of my whole soul that I began to believe the words that were spoken. So now all I'm hearing is, oh, you can't do that. So every thought was you. Every time I would try to do something, you can't do that. Every time I would, you can't. So now what do you think it's bringing on? A spirit of depression. So now I'm getting depressed because now I can't do nothing, right? Because my mind is constantly telling me I'm not going to achieve or accomplish the things that I put my feet forward to, right? So why put energy into something you don't even believe that's going to work? Oh, let's talk about it. Come on.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said, self-aware. That is key because when you procrastinate, you're going against yourself. It's self-defeating, right? You can't even keep a promise to yourself. This goes with the self-esteem, right? You say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, right? So now who are you? Right? This is the question, right? Who are you and who do you desire to be? Because when you procrastinate often, like we said, it's linked to a mental illness, is linked to mental diagnoses, and it's linked to certain behavior patterns that will constantly keep you delayed, right? So a lot of people are delayed because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So here are things, I'm about relationships. So you have a friend, right? I like sharing signs that you need to pay attention to, that you may be able to say, okay. So that friend who's always late got some procrastination issues. Okay. So that's true. It's true, right? The person who is always saying they stressed out, they procrastinate. Okay. They're a procrastinator. You can't move forward in your life being a procrastinator, and you can't have someone who procrastinate on your team, because where's the movement, right? Where we going and what we're doing, right? So you might want to be able to identify some of those patterns to know the positive patterns and the negative, right? Because you have to, patterns are, you hear us say mind mastery. So mastery, the word mastery, is taking a pattern and repeating it constantly until you master it, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. So if you don't want to be someone who procrastinate, then you have to find the patterns, which we will give you, patterns of behaviors and responses that will counteract that procrastination. Like I said, you got to motivate yourself, shift the atmosphere, play some music, get it done, reward yourself after the time that you have, accomplished the task. You got to do it, right? So procrastination can turn into such a vicious cycle. I'm not sure, Dr. Sharma or Dr. Latoya, if it's part of the fight, flight, freeze situation, but you guys can bring that up. And it could be triggered again through, maybe you had a divorce, maybe you're financially failing in the area. It can be triggered by family, like Dr. Sharma was saying, if someone told you you're not good enough. It can be triggered by work. You have a deadline and you keep falling behind your deadlines. Why? Because you keep procrastinating. Now you're stressed out because you might get fired because you ain't do what you're supposed to do you didn't do what you're supposed to do to get the job done. So you have to make a decision, and to not be someone who procrastinates is someone who has to be self-aware and dedicated to yourself, right? If you watch the show enough, my line to you is you are responsible for you. Okay. And we want you to always be the best version of yourself. So to not be a procrastinator, one of the things you can try is don't break your promise, right? If you have to, and this is, I'm telling you guys, we are so serious about what we do, because I always give people the example, everyone does what they want to do.
Yes.
You have a flight, your flight going to Miami at 6 o'clock is your flight. You got to get up maybe 3 hours earlier to be there, an hour or two prior. When you want to go to Miami, your butt's up and you're going to go, and
You
you're
better
going to do
believe it.
it. There will be no procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
You paid for the ticket. So this is all in your mind, right? This is your thought process, right? See the positive. I paid for my ticket. I got to be there. That being responsible, that meeting the deadline. You won't procrastinate with that unless, you're a chronic procrastinator and you're willing to pay the fee for that ticket, that $200, $100 fee to re-get your ticket issued. I want you to see somebody, right? You can reach out to us at safespacetalks@gmail.com. But we encourage you, if you're identifying with anything we're saying, to go and, early detection works. Early
Seek
detection
help.
works.
Mm-hmm.
So to not procrastinate, if you need to get up, just like you can get up to go to get your flight to Miami, you can get up early to exercise. You can get up early to say your prayers. You can get up early to meditate. You have to make these promises to yourself and keep it, right? This is when you do that, that's when integrity steps in. That's when you're responsible steps in. That's when you can make good decisions step in. That's when you can make good choices step in. See, leaving one situation and then you shift into a better situation for yourself. So I think that's what I have to say. Is there anything else on my mind? Yeah, just promise yourself. Say, I promise me, I'm gonna be good to me. Right? Let me tell you something. That day, I feel the Holy Ghost. That day you start being good to you, you'll never go back.
My God.
You'll never go back.
Yeah.
Dr. Latoya, go on in.
But that's so great. And at the end of the day, you have to love yourself enough.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we do have to overcome a lot of things that have happened to us in our past, because a lot of people who struggle with trauma struggle with procrastination. And so you are absolutely right. That is a part of that freeze state. And so really or truly, it's like self-preservation, but at the end of but also at the root of it is, we have not learned to love ourselves enough. And the thing that is required of us, we're not putting a higher enough level of importance on it. And so we rate things. We have this inner dialogue with ourselves, and we begin to rate things based on levels of importance. And so when it comes to our own selves, when it comes to our health, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to some of our relationships, as it relates to our own selves, we have not rated it higher. Because some people can do things as long as they're doing them for other people.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So
good.
I don't mind taking my mom to the doctor or my children to the doctor, because I know that if I don't take them to the doctor, they'll suffer. So I'll get up early and I'll take them to the doctor. But when it comes to myself, I don't value myself enough to take myself. And when it comes to exercise, if you have to stay up all night long because you have a child that's sick, you'll do it because you have to. But, when it comes to yourself, will you do what you need to do for yourself? Sometimes we struggle with loving ourselves enough or putting ourselves important enough to be able to accomplish those things in our lives. And so I say, first and foremost, ask God to heal you of how you see and view yourself, because at some point in time, there was some type of trauma, or there was word curses or something that was spoken over your life. There's something that happened that caused you to see yourself differently, that caused you not to see yourself of importance. So first of all, that has to be healed, because when you begin to love yourself and begin to see yourself as important, then you can be kind to yourself. Then you can reward yourself. right?
That's good. Mhm.
Then you can hold yourself accountable. Then you can be aware. Then you can be intentional. But if you don't care and value yourself, everything else is out the door. You got to value your own self first enough to say, okay, I love me. I want to
Mhm.
be around, not just for my children, but I want to be around because this is God's promise to myself that He will give me long life.
Mhm. Mhm.
I need to be around because there's still something else for me to do.
Mhm.
I don't need the additional stressors that's attached to me procrastinating because because like Dr. Sharmi said, your health can be impacted, your mental health, even though we know that procrastination definitely is attached and linked to other disorders. But guess what? Procrastination in itself can cause other issues.
That's
And
it.
so now you have anxiety. Now, because you're constantly in that fight or flight mode, right now you have systemic issues. We have systemic inflammation. So now you got sickness. Now you got diseases that's
Mm-mm.
turning up.
Mm-mm.
Not just because you didn't go to the doctor, but then guess what? You're not going to go to the doctor when you're supposed to because you
That's right.
procrastinate. So now you got this big old storm of stuff
Right.
because you failed to take a step and look at what it is you are really doing, look at what it is you're really feeling, and looking at what you're really thinking about yourself. So take a moment and think about that. Like I think both ladies said, think about, why am I procrastinating? Ask yourself the question and give yourself an honest answer. Because if you first of all, Dr. Sharma already tell you, you can't blame it on anybody else. It's self-defeating. So you can't blame it on your husband. You can't at this point, you can't even blame it on your parents. You
Yeah.
can't
Mm.
blame it on
That's good.
anyone else. Yes, they may have said some terrible things to you in the past. They may have done some things, but you
Mhm.
can't blame them because you are the one who governs that,
That's
you
good.
know? And so you've got to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I've been slacking. I can do better. And it's not because of my environment. It's because of me. It's
Mm.
because of this environment. What I'm telling myself about myself.
That's
Once you do
good.
that, then you begin to make those adjustments. And if you can do it now, do it. Don't
Yeah.
put it off. Especially if you are a chronic procrastinator. Start small. Start checking off those little things, because you remember we talked about the issue with the reward system. You need some reward.
Yeah.
You need to feel accomplished. You need to build your self-esteem.
Mhm. That's
You need
good.
that dopamine hit. So you start, you know, doing those tasks on your list that doesn't require a whole lot of effort and energy and time. You can work off the small things, and then you'll gain the confidence and you'll gain the energy to be able to deal with some of the things that are going to be more taxing, things that are going to require more time and energy, money, and blah blah blah. But at least start off with small things and make those small changes, because that's when you're building the habit and you're beginning to fortify your mind and change the way that you think and your perspective about procrastination. And when you do that, you begin to make it a lifestyle. Nope, I won't procrastinate.
That's
You
good.
know, and then you start holding other people. No, you're not gonna hold me up. I need to do it now because I have
Right.
the time to do it now. I'm not gonna wait. Because see, life will give you a perfect scenario, perfect situation where you're going to be able to have the time to procrastinate. Well, we could just do it later.
Mm-hmm.
And normally you'll be like, yeah, let's do it later.
Mm-hmm.
But this time you're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna do it right now because I have the
Right.
time to do it now. I'm gonna get it done. Once you begin to do that, you'll feel so much better about yourself, because you'll be able to get so many things accomplished, and your stress
That's the
level
key.
will decrease. When your
That's
stress level decrease, overall you'll feel much better about who you are.
yeah.
Yeah. That's good, Latoya. One of the things that when you were talking just about, I'm going back to the self-awareness point of it, and the
Mhm.
self-love, and many people feel, and here's where we deal with the emotional side of it, because
Mhm.
many people feel like if they dress themselves up on the outside, if they look good outside,
Mm,
if they buy themselves this, if you know what I'm saying,
mm-hmm.
a lot of the Louis, a lot of the Coach, a lot of all these things is to make up for what you're missing on the inside, right?
So good.
But let's just talk about it,
That's
because
true.
some people believe that they are healed when in reality you're not healed. Let me help. I'm just gonna help us today.
Help,
Help. That's
When
what we here
help,
for.
help, help.
when you talk about
Someone
the
stranded.
dynamics of true healing, then you understand that if I had nothing, I
That's
still
good.
have everything. When,
That's
when
so
I'm
good.
talking about when you understand, see, because see, I understand what it's like when things begin to define you, because I had to have the best of the best, look the best of the best, all of that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and some. Would not walk out the house without, you understand, I had heels on to go to the
Mm-hmm.
grocery. I looked good, honey. Do you understand me? I'm
Yes.
just gonna tell you. And nobody could tell me I did not.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going out the house raggedy. Why? Everything had to match, from my underwear to my whatever. It was, I was gonna look good.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I feeding?
Mm-hmm.
I was feeding some self insecurities that was on the inside of me, because I was not built up on the inside. So my outward appearance made
That's
people
so good.
believe that I had it going
Had
on,
it
and made
all
people
together.
believe that I had it together. But then when I went home, I was the only one, and the Lord was the only one to really understand. And check it out, even the enemy was able to see some of the things that was going on, because I would begin to speak about when I was alone by myself, right?
Mm.
Because here's the reality. You have to understand, okay, so we're talking about true healing. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
still dealing with depression, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you deal with low self-esteem, if you deal with all of these things, are really linked to procrastination. How about attention deficit disorder,
Mm-hmm.
hyperactivity disorder? Let's talk about OCD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obsessive compulsive disorder. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about several other conditions. We can go on and down
ADHD.
the list with
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
different issues that are related to just having some issues. These denotes that you're not fully as healed as you believed in area.
Right. Right.
Let's talk about it,
Yeah.
right? Let's just talk about it. We're not fully healed in certain areas in our lives. If you're an
Mm-hmm.
individual and you deal with fear, anxiety, you afraid, you scared of bugs, you scared of this, you scared of that, you scared, everything in life scares you. You can't do nothing by yourself, you can't do this by yourself. I mean, these listen.
No, seriously.
Listen, let's
Mm-hmm.
talk. We got to talk about
Yeah.
the real
Been
issues
there.
that go on in life, so we can be made whole.
Oh,
The
that's
Right.
scripture
it.
says, "Do thou want to be made whole?" God
That's
didn't
good.
just tell us He was gonna make us whole. It's, do you want to be made whole? I made you
Mm-hmm.
whole already, but even though I did it, you still gotta want it. Come on, let's
Yeah.
talk
And
about
walk in it.
you got
Yeah.
this thing. And so when
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking about these dynamics, then you also have to understand that as a people, I'm talking about a people, we have to know that when we're dealing with certain issues in life, we have the power and the authority to master so many different things. I love how Nigeria say, listen, if you paid for that ticket to go to Florida or wherever, you gonna make sure that you on that plane on time, you gonna get up early enough. You ain't trying to miss your trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to do it. So that means that you have the ability
Come
to.
on now.
That's right.
I'm helping
Yeah.
us, because
That's
that
it.
means that I have
You
the
can do it.
ability to master certain things in my life. But what tends to happen is what keeps ruminating in the subconscious thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What's ruminating in that subconscious part of your mind is the thing that's telling you, oh, put it off.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
You got
do it.
time.
Right.
You
You got
got
to.
time. Don't do it. And then next year you still listen.
She said next year. She
Listen.
said next
Guess
year.
what? Next year you still ain't did the thing that you were supposed to do. Some people need to go back
Baby.
10, 15, 20 years. Do you hear me?
Baby,
You need
baby.
to go all the way back, because you years behind. You decades behind. God then told you to do something 20 years ago.
You
You
still
still
ain't.
waiting
Mm-hmm.
on Jesus. Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
waiting on the Lord. No, you're not, sir, ma'am. You're not waiting. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He's waiting on you. Listen,
Yeah.
He's waiting on your mind to come to a place where it really clicks and you really have the stability. See, because you have to understand that God is seeing what's going on. The scripture says this, and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go after this. This is what the Bible says. So the Bible says this, and I'm letting it go. Serious. The Bible, the Bible literally tells us, right, that we have the ability to accomplish so many things in life.
That's right.
I have given you the power to create whatever it is you want to create. I've given you the power.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's giving me the power, I'm just gonna tell you what the word say. You go dispute this with whoever you want to, but not me. Okay. I'm just telling you what the word say. If he's giving you the power to create wealth and certain things, because in order to create wealth, that means you have to create something. So in order to create whatever it is that God has given you the authority to create, he's already given it to you. You have it in you to achieve it. You have it in you to move forward. You have it in you not to procrastinate, but
Right.
you have to want it. Right. And so listen, as we're closing out, I just had to listen. I'm not done, but we gonna stop because we just gonna stop because I'm not done because we need to continue with this.
We gotta have part
We
2.
can do
But
it.
listen, you guys, Safe Space Talks is going to be in New York doing a live taping on the 22nd of
Yay!
July. So in a couple, like maybe about 3 weeks, we will be in New York City live.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in Harlem. Are we going to be in
Yeah,
Harlem?
we're gonna be in Harlem.
We're gonna be somewhere in Harlem, y'all. You know, and so come out, go to Safe Space Talks. Listen, here it is. Safe Space Talks, right? We want you to go to safespacetalks@gmail.com and we want you to email us your RSVP that you just gonna be in the room. It's free. We're not asking you for anything, but we're gonna do a live show, a live taping, and we're gonna have Q&A and all of that. And we look forward to seeing. Listen, space is limited, so I'm not saying we're gonna see all y'all in the room, but some of y'all out there in New York, we want to see you in the room. Really,
Yes.
we want to
be in
see
the building. Meet us live. If you think we're funny on YouTube,
we want to see you. Safe Space Talks, right? Go to safespacetalks@gmail.com. Go and do your
RSVP, and we'll send you the location.
And yes, you will get the location after you RSVP. You will definitely get the location. All right. Well, God bless you all. And we're not done, but we're stopping because I got a lot to say on this one. Honey. Y'all gonna get free. I'm telling y'all,
free to people.
All right. God bless you, everybody.